to ascertain exactly what led to that unfortunate accident, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this also offers the country an opportunity, and it's good that you gave us this opportunity not only to mourn our departed colleagues and great countrymen, but also afford this House the opportunity to reconsider, and I hope the chair of the Defense and Foreign Relations Committee is listening, that at times the military does come before the House looking for resources to modernize equipment. And I've had many members during the budget-making process criticize without knowledge the modernization of military equipment. And Honorable Speaker, probably this now offers that opportunity, that as we consider the next few military equipment, including the aircrafts that we use, not just in the military, but also in the police, including, Honorable Speaker, the presidential jet, the jet that Honorable Speaker was saying the presidential jet, you remember, was purchased in the early 80s or late 80s by former President Daniel Arap Moi. And probably this offers that opportunity now to reconsider all this equipment, be it aircraft and other military equipment, Honorable Speaker, towards modernizing them to the modern equipment that is safe and good for use, not just by the military, but also other government officers. Honorable Speaker, as we remember General Gola and the other 9 gallant officers, Honorable Speaker, let us also remember military officers give their lives to protect all of us to live in a peaceful and secure country. And we must, as we mourn them and remember the families that they have left behind, Honorable Speaker, and I must commend the Kenya Defense Forces because we have seen the support that they have extended not just to General Gola's family, but to the families of other officers who lost their lives, and others, Honorable Speaker, that I know who had lost their lives earlier in accidents, like the one that was there in Gong, and the military and the Kenya Defense Forces continue to offer very good support to those families. And also ask the House, Honorable Speaker, to also consider more budgetary allocations to the military to even be able to offer better.
Thank you, honorable members. We'll end here, and I want to echo what one of you said. Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot, Baringo, the general would not have gone there. The people who are fighting and raiding and killing each other are the people you lead. Take a moment of your time. Those young people, get down there to activities other than wrestling, would still be having the 9 other officers. The leadership must start from this House. If you want to amend the law to give an opportunity for you to spend part of your CDF to the normal order. Before we call out the next order, allow me to recognize in the public gallery Syokimau East SDA Church.
Order number 3, messages.
Order. Member for Laikipia, take your seat. Committees on the Employment Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 11 of 2022, and the Natural Resources Benefit Sharing Bill, Senate Bill number 6 of 2022. Honorable members, pursuant to the provision of the Senate regarding the appointment to the Article 1, the Employment Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 6 of 2022. Honorable members, with respect to the Employment Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 11 of 2020, Senator Samson Cherargei, MP, Senator Miraj Abdullahi Abdurrahman, Eric Okongo Morgan is Senior Natural Resources Benefit Sharing Bill, Senate Bill number 6 of 2022. The Senate has appointed the following senators. Senator John MP has rejected the Employment Amendment March 2024 and 13th March 2020. Are now fully constituted as contemplated under Article 113 of the Constitution. I therefore call upon the committees to expeditiously consider the respective bills and submit versions of the bills for majority.
Thank you. First half National Government Budget Implementation Review Report for financial year 2023-2024 from the Office of the Controller of Budget. 3. First half County Government Budget Implementation Review Report for financial year 2023-2024 from the Office of Months period ended 30th June 2023 and the certificate therein. 5. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements for the year. National Environmental Management Authority. C. Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency. D. National Environment Complaints. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay.
Honorable Keitany.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 23rd April 2024. This is the report of the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives on its consideration of the Economic Partnership Agreement between the European Union and the Republic of Kenya. Thank you.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, Honorable Murugara.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, the 23rd April 2024, a report of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs on its consideration of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2024. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairperson, Committee on Delegated Legislation. Chipkonga.
Table of the House of the Public Finance Management Kenya Millennium Development Fund Regulations 2024, legal notice number 51 of 2024. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable AI, which is the use of and acknowledging Kenya 5th in Africa and 90th globally in readiness to adopt artificial intelligence, that's AI, and further acknowledging and concerned that the exponential rate at which the AI is being embraced in society without proper regulatory mechanisms has caused various things, that there is need to protect Kenyans from potential AI-instigated harms, such as privacy breaches, AI-powered fake technology algorithms, and algorithmic discrimination, autonomous weapons. This House urges the government, therefore, through the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy, to A, formulate a regulatory framework and ethical guidelines for implementation of AI in the country to control potential misuse, and develop and execute public and awareness program that aware that the government of plan of 2022 to 2030, the blueprint for leveraging and deepening the contribution of information and communication technology, that's ICT, to accelerate the country's industrial, academic institutions and other innovators to invest in emerging technologies to intends to increase internet broadband connectivity across the country through construction of 100,000 kilometers services may lead to digital exclusion of a majority of Kenyans. Recognizing that there is need to bridge the existing gap in ICT to ensure inclusivity in access to internet and make Kenya a regional ICT hub while keeping pace with the shifting changes, and noting that the government's plan for a digital superhighway may not be realized without deliberate interventions to lower the cost data. Now, therefore, this House resolves that the Kenya government, through the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy, formulates a policy to, 1, regulate internet billing by internet service providers by providing metered billing of internet use based on consumption in order to mitigate exploitation and secure economic interests of internet users in line with Article 46 of the Constitution, and to require the internet service providers to develop and deploy quality metered billing systems capable of monitoring customer usage, convert to readable details, and creating invoices based on consumption and align their metrics with the value and the customers get from the various internet services. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Vice Chair, go ahead and give notice of the next motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Consideration of the Economic Partnership Agreement between Kenya and the European Union. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives on its consideration of the Economic Partnership Agreement between the Republic of Kenya and the European Union, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 23rd April 2024, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 8(4) of the Treaty Making and Ratification Act 2012, approves the ratification of the Economic Partnership Agreement between the European Union and the Republic of Kenya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairperson, Committee on Delegated Legislation, Chepkonga.
That this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the Public Finance Management Kenya Millennium Development Fund Regulations 2024, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 23rd April 2024, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 24, subsection 4 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, approves the Public Finance Management Kenya Millennium Development Fund Regulations 2024, legal notice number 51 of 2024, subject to Regulation Making Authority publishing a corrigenda to correct the minor errors appearing in Regulations 11 and 16. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next order. Member for Mhaya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I request for a statement regarding the current state of insecurity in the Mhaya constituency. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to requests for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding the rise of insecurity in the Mhaya constituency. Honorable Speaker, Article 29 of the Constitution provides for the right of every person to freedom and security. This includes the right not to be subjected to any form of violence from either public or private sources, or subjected to torture in any manner. Unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, there have been rampant cases of insecurity in the country, and especially in the Mhaya constituency. For instance, on the night of 13th April 2024 at a Makaga shopping center in the Mhaya Northeast Bunyore ward, armed assailants attacked and killed two people, a Mr. Edward Atsivirwa of ID number 7350679 and a Mr. Luka Ongaya Hasere of ID number 1971558, who are businessmen and watchmen respectively. On the same night, Honorable Speaker, the assailants raided 3 shops in the area and stole an undetermined amount of goods and money. Additionally, a 414108 was killed on 23rd March 2024 in a sub-location, a Mhaya constituency central ward, while 3 other people, namely Mr. Benson Maina, Mr. Joseph Achinga, Mr. Kenneth Ochingwa from Luanda, were murdered on February 24th, and their bodies dumped at Muluhoro, and his head chopped off on September 2023 under unclear circumstances. Honorable Speaker, I rise on insecurity within the constituency places area residents in grave danger. Despite several efforts, the insecurity seems unlikely to reduce, seeing that the police stations are understaffed and without equipment such as patrol cars. Further, there seems to be a form of laxity among the law enforcers, which poses great risk to security of both residents and business owners within the constituency. Given that all officers are mopped up at night, Honorable Speaker, and taken to the border post at Mbali Police Station. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following one, that what are the plans underway to equip the police stations in the Muhaya constituency with patrol vehicles in order to enhance the mobility of enforcing security officers? Number two, what measures has the government put in place to ensure deployment of additional officers to police stations in the Muhaya constituency? And number three, when does the ministry intend to gazette hard for patrol of officers was taken away by the Vihiga County police boss for his personal use at those?
Chair,
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
2 weeks.
Request for a statement in the Nyanza. This county is also known to be the food basket of the country, owing to the fertile soil and consistent rainfall all year round. It is regrettable that immediately after the rains, our people flock to the springs and rivers to fetch water, are swept away by the resultant floods, causing deaths. Various attempts to approach different organizations to help in harvesting rainwater have been successful. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation to appraise the House on the following. What strategies does the ministry intend to implement to harness the excess rainfall for long-term drought mitigation? What action plans has the ministry put in place to ensure proper drainage of rainwater to protect our citizens from being swept away by heavy rains and from being infected by waterborne diseases? What support mechanism is the ministry after the heavy rains, including emergency relief? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Is he here? Any vice chair to that committee? Yes, COE, 2 weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to just give a point of information to my colleague from Kisii, just to inform her that water is devolved in the counties and whatever that she has county government.
It is not an argument between neighbors, Doris. Order. I approved your statement, so it's legitimately here. The order. You are the most senior member here. Committee of Blue Economy, you will bring a statement in 2 weeks. Next, John Mukunji, member for Manyata.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44, Section 2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health regarding the operationalization of abuse. Communities across the country have grappled with the issue of drug and substance abuse, with the devastating consequences of addiction adversely affecting individuals, families, and the society at large. In the recent past, there has been an upsurge in the prevalence of illicit brew consumption and narcotic drugs in regions across the country. The unregulated sale and distribution of this harmful substance has become one. This alarming trend underscores the urgent need for holistic strategies to combat substance abuse effectively and holistically. Honorable Speaker, while the government has taken commendable steps through the enactment of punitive regulations and directives, it is essential to complement these actions with practices and policies that focus on prevention, treatment, and recovery services for individuals. Section 53 of the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Control are rehabilitation to meet the expectations of rehabilitated persons struggling with drug and substance abuse. However, despite the provision, there exists a gap in the authorization and implementation of the Rehabilitation Fund, which hampers efforts to combat substance abuse effectively, as it will provide. Honorable Speaker. Number one, Honorable Speaker, why the Rehabilitation Fund is currently not operational. Honorable Speaker. Number two, provide a report on the number of rehabilitation centers operated by the government in the country and state what specific measures the government has put in place to help individuals struggling with drug and substance abuse. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Speaker, 2 weeks will be okay.
Thank you. Paul Nzengu.
Statement regarding the current state of allocations for roads maintenance under Kera Development Fund for April to June 2024. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the current state of county allocations under the Kenya Rural Roads Authority Development Fund for April to June 2024. Honorable Speaker, as members are aware, the implementation of Kera procurement plan on various roads maintenance projects commenced on the 15th of April 2024. According to the procurement plan and the distribution of the allocations, 4 counties, namely Garissa, Lamu, Samburu, and Vihiga, are left out without any allocation. 5 other counties, being Busia, Kilifi, Laikipia, Tana River, and Kwale counties, were allocated less than 8 million each. Honorable Speaker, 11 counties are allocated a sum of between 21 million and 50 million, and a further 13 counties allocated between 90 million and 170 million. Out of the total of 47 counties, only 3 counties are allocated a sum of a Kenya shilling 240 million. These allocations are very skewed, and neither do they represent the face of the country. It is an urgent matter that requires the intervention of this House, Mr. Speaker, which, if left to 2007, the law requires equitable or equal allocation to all concerned counties where Kera exercise is mandate. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on the following. 1, could the Chairperson explain the criteria used to allocate funds leading to the huge discrepancies noted and leaving other counties without any allocation? Number 2, Mr. Speaker, what measures is the government taking to alleviate against the unnecessary discrepancies in funding and ensuring that there is equitable development of the entire country? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Nzengu. Chairman, Transport and Infrastructure. Where is the GK? Get to them that they bring the statement in 2 weeks.
I'm much obliged, Honorable Speaker.
Who is the chair, Social Protection? Eh? Yes, ma'am. McLeod, are you the one delivering a statement in respect to Lisa Chelule's request?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, upon the request by the Honorable Lisa Chelule, MB, Nakuru County, we sought response from the Cabinet Secretary for Finance and National Planning as a committee, and I have the response from the Minister here, and I want to respond as follows. This is a submission from the National Treasury in response to the request for statement by Honorable Lisa Chelule, MB, Nakuru County, regarding the failure by the Bilateral Processing Company of Kenya, PPCK, to settle pension dues due to its pensioners. The National Treasury responded as follows. Bilateral Processing Company of Kenya, PPCK, was incorporated on 8 November 1963 as a limited company, a subsidiary company of the Bilateral Board of Kenya, with Bilateral Board of Kenya having almost 100% shareholding, according to the State Corporations Act, Cap 446, being a subsidiary of a state corporation. PPCK is by law a state corporation. Upon the commencement of the Crops and Agricultural and Food Authority Acts of 2013, PPCK assumed the commercial functions of Bilateral Board of Kenya. Agricultural Food Authority, AFA, became a regulator of the bilateral industry by creating a directorate. These reforms in the bilateral industry resulted in liberalization, attracting new players at various levels of the value chain. This resulted to AFA licensing 4 bilateral processors that include PPCK. Other than PPCK, the other bilateral superannuation scheme was established on 1st January 1991, constituted as a defined benefit. Under the scheme, the employees contributed 5%, and the employer 15%. Bilateral Board of Kenya employer started failing to remit pensions contributions around 2003 to the scheme administrator, Barclays Bank. So, Speaker, the company for a long time failed to remit staff, statutory, and other employee voluntary contributions to relevant authorities and institutions. So, Speaker, following several reminders by the Retirement Benefits Authority, RBA, for Bilateral Board of Kenya to surrender non-core assets to scheme to avoid members missing their monthly pension, RPA launched a petition in 2012, petition number 24 of 2012, at the Milimani Commercial Court to wind up the scheme. On 1st December 2016, Mr. Speaker, the court directed the scheme to be wound up and sponsors' assets be liquidated to generate funds to pay the pensioners. Subsequently, in adherence to an order of High Court, the scheme was liquidated on 26 May 2017, and the official receiver was appointed. The official receiver, as a liquidator, had out of 444 pensioners have passed on without receiving their dues. A cabinet memorandum on transfer of assets, the non-core assets of the Bilateral Processing Company, formerly PPK, to the scheme was submitted to the NDITC in May 2021. However, a decision is yet to be made. The PPCK's Board of Directors, at a meeting on 6 May 2022, passed a superannuation scheme. The Attorney General, via letter WC 24/2012, dated 23 May 2022, supported transfer on a non-core assets or PPK to pay pensioners. Subsequently, the National Treasury filed a letter TNT/Pence/12/5 dated 19 August 2022, advised that the transfer of 13 earmarked land parcels to the official receiver to offset the pension deficits awaits the decision of the cabinet. The National Treasury filed a letter TNT/Pence/12/5 dated 15 February 2024, requested the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Agriculture, to initiate a cabinet memorandum to facilitate the transfer of identified non-core assets or PPCK, formerly PPK, to offset pension deficits. The National Treasury is concerned on the suffering of this group of beneficiaries who have visited us following up on the status of pension dues on the last visit was on 31st January 2024. Towards addressing this kind of situation now and in the future, the National Treasury, as a matter of principle and policy, requires all government entities to manage their liabilities without recourse to the National Exchequer. It is on this basis that all pension schemes sponsored by the state corporations were converted beginning 2010/2011 financial year from defined benefits to defined contribution scheme. This is the order to minimize liabilities of the state corporations and, by extension, contingent liabilities to the National Exchequer. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the National Treasury and Economic Planning remains available to support the committee when called upon to respond to settle on the pension dues to PPCK pensioners. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Chelule, you've heard the statement. Are you satisfied?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to respond to the answers that have been given by the chairman for Social Protection Committee.
You don't respond, you seek clarification even.
To comment, Mr. Speaker, sir, sorry.
Yes.
To comment. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the chairman for being committed to this question. And he was able to transfer the questions to the National Treasury. And the National Treasury, the CS for the National Treasury, has been able to explain in his answers all the chronologies that happened between the BBK and the Pirate Ram Processing Company of Kenya during that time. And I'm happy to report that I'm satisfied with the responses. And the reason why I'm satisfied is because the National Treasury have actually undertaken to instruct the Cabinet Secretary, the relevant committee, to do a memorandum in relation to the payment of the pensioners. I will have a follow-up, Mr. Speaker, sir, to discuss with the relevant state officers on this matter, and I confirm that I'm satisfied with the responses. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, Maklap. Any comment to that?
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Chelule is indeed very satisfied with the response that we've given.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 8, the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill, Senate Bill number 9 of 2022, question to be put. Second reading, question to be put.
Order, Rahim, take your seat. Order, Honorable Member, Kiborek, take your seat. Honorable members, I'll now put the question at order number 8, that the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill, Senate Bill number 9 of 2022 be now read a second time. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to establish standard uniform procedures for licensing by county governments and for connected purposes. Order number 9, the Unclaimed Financial Assets Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 15 of 2024, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Unclaimed Financial Assets Act and for connected purposes. Order number 10, the National Land Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 43 of 2023, resumption of debate.
Honorable Peter Kihungi, is he in the house? He had 7 minutes to go. He's forfeited. Mishimbogo.
I can use the other one. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, anasimama kuunga mkono mswada huu ambao unazungumzia mambo ya tume ya ardhi. Haswa tukizingatia kwamba Wakenya waliweza kupiga kura ya kubadilisha katiba na moja katika mabadiliko ilikuwa ni kuunda tume ya ardhi. Na sababu ya kuunda tume ya ardhi ni kwa sababu kulikuwa na malalamiko mengi sana yanayohusu dhulma za kihistoria za ardhi. Tukiangalia katika kifungu 62 cha katiba kimezungumzia ya kwamba ardhi ya umma itakuwa chini ya usimamizi wa rais kupitia tume ya ardhi. Hivyo basi tume ya ardhi ni muhimu sana. Na vile vile kifungu 67 kimezungumzia kuanzishwa kwa tume ya ardhi na kikazungumzia pia majukumu ya tume ya ardhi ikiwemo usimamizi wa ardhi za umma. Na pia vile vile katika majukumu ni kusimamia zile tunaita ruzuku, ama kwa wale ambao hawataelewa grants, kuweza kuzisimamia na kutathmini ya kwamba ugavi wake ulikuwa sawa ama ulikuwa na shida. Na tukiangalia Mheshimiwa Spika, tunaona ya kwamba ule muda uliopatiwa tume ya ardhi katika kuangalia masuala haya ilikuwa ni muda wa miaka 5, ambapo sasa hivi tunachelea ya kwamba tume itaweza kukosa mamlaka hayo. Na tukiangalia bado tuna matatizo nyeti sana, haswa kuangalia mambo ya dhulma za ardhi. Mifuko mengi sana katika taifa letu la Kenya yalikuwa dhidi ya shida za ardhi, na ndio sababu tuliweza kusema tuwe na tume iweze kusaidiana na Wizara ya Ardhi katika kutathmini swala hili la matatizo ya ardhi na kuangalia zile ruzuku. Sasa hivi Mheshimiwa Spika, sehemu nyingi za taifa la Kenya kuna watu ambao walipatiwa ruzuku na hazikuwa za usawa, na watu wale hata utaona ya kwamba kule mashinani ama katika ardhi zile hawapatikani, hawaonekani, hawajulikani wako wapi. Na wakati serikali inataka kutatua matatizo ya maskota kutumia ardhi kama hizi ili waweze kuwapatia maskota, inakuwa ni shida kwa sababu wale waliopatiwa hawawezi kupatikana. Kwa hivyo masuala kama haya lazima tume ya ardhi iweze kuendelea na kazi yake ili tuweze kuangalia ruzuku hizi zilipatiana kwa njia gani. Je, wale waliopatiwa ruzuku hizi bado wako ama hawako? Na kweli walikuwa ni walengwa ama ni wale ambao walipata kwa kupitia njia za kisiasa na njia ambazo hazikuwa njia za shabaha za tume ya ardhi. Na tuweze kuangalia ya kwamba wakati wa Kenya waliweza kuzungumzia kuwekwa kwa tume ya ardhi ni kwa sababu wizara ilikuwa hapo kwa miaka mingi sana na haikuweza kutathmini, haswa kuangalia zile dhulma za kihistoria za mambo ya ardhi. Sasa hivi kwa mfano serikali iliangalia ile ardhi ya Mazurui kule sehemu za Kilifi na ikaweza kusema kuwa itapeana pesa kwa wale wahusika ili kusaidia maskwota walioko pale waweze kufanya kazi yake. Mambo kama haya ambayo yamefanyika itakuwa ni shida. Itakuwa tena turudi mwanzo tuone ya kwamba tatizo hili nyeti tutalifanya vipi. Katika taifa letu la Kenya, ukiangalia sehemu ya bonde la Ufa, matatizo ya ardhi kwa kupitia dhulma za kihistoria ni mengi sana. Ukiangalia pwani, matatizo kama hayo pia ni mengi sana. Ukiangalia sehemu za kati pia matatizo kama haya tumeyaona, na kwa jumla Kenya nzima kuna haya matatizo. Nimekuwa katika kamati ya ardhi katika bunge lililokwisha, na mpaka sasa Bi Spika, Mheshimiwa, ukiangalia zile kesi ambazo bado hazijapata suluhisho, bado hazijapata uamuzi wa kuweza kusaidia Wakenya ni nyingi mno. Na hata tukitathmini hivi sasa tuseme tume imetufanyia kazi ngapi katika kutatua dhulma za kihistoria za ardhi, katika kutatua mambo ya ruzuku, utapata ya kwamba bado shida ni nyingi na bado hatujapata uamuzi wowote ama kupata njia ya kuweza kutekeleza mambo kama haya. Kwa hivyo mimi nataka niseme tusianze kuvunja nguvu ama zile tume ambazo sisi wenyewe tuliziunda kupitia katiba ya mwananchi. Tulisema Wanjiku waliongea, tukasema Kadzo ameongea, tukasema Achieng ameongea. Kwa hivyo wakati waliongea kwa sababu za kimsingi, haswa katika tatizo swala la ardhi. Na unajua Madam Speaker, swala la ardhi limeleta maafa katika taifa letu la Kenya. Swala la ardhi limeleta sitofahamu katika jamii, na haswa tukiangalia ardhi za umma. Hizo siku za nyuma watu walikuwa hawana uwezo wa kutengeza stakabadhi ama kuziweka katika njia ambayo ni ya kisheria. Watu walikuwa wanajua hino ni ardhi ya jamii fulani na wanajua hino ni ardhi yetu. Hivyo basi wale watu ambao ni waizi wa mashamba wakaweza kufanya mambo ambayo si halali, kuweza kupata umiliki ya mashamba ya umma ambayo si mashamba yao. Kwa hivyo Madam Speaker, ni lazima tupatiane tume ya ardhi nafasi muafaka, nafasi ya kutosha, ili Wakenya na jamii zote katika zile ardhi zetu za umma wawe watapata haki. Na iwapo hawatapata haki ama tutasitisha kazi ya tume ya ardhi, itakuwa zile fedha tulizotumia kubadilisha katiba, kuunda hino tume, kuweka makamishna na mambo mengi tuliyofanya, itakuwa ni kazi bure, na zile pesa za ushuru za mwananchi wa Kenya zitakuwa zimeenda pasi na kuwa na faida katika swala. Na swala hili lazima tulipatie kipao bunge lake. Kila mahali kuna zile sehemu ambazo tumejua ilikuwa ni sana kama bonde la Ufa na sehemu za pwani, lakini kwa jumla Kenya nzima imekuwa na shida na mambo kama haya. Vile vile pia tukisema ya kwamba swala hili tunaliacha, italia taratibu nyingine za kuwa waweze kusimamia swala kama hili. Na kwa nini turudi nyuma wakati tulikuwa tushakwenda hatua fulani ya kuweza kutathmini swala kama hili la dhulma za kihistoria na kuweza pia kuzungumzia mambo ya ruzuku. Vile vile tuna kesi ambazo bado hazijapata uamuzi, bado zimesimama, na bado Wakenya wanatuangalia sana kuona ya kwamba serikali iliyoko mamlakani itaweza kuwapatia afueni Wakenya katika swala hili, swala nyeti la ardhi. Kwa hivyo Bi Speaker, mimi nataka niseme ninamuunga mkono sana Mheshimiwa Owen Baya kwa kufikiria ambazo bado hazijatathminiwa na hatujapata suluhisho katika matatizo kama haya. Kwa hivyo ni muafaka kuweza kuwa na mslia. Wakenya wamehangaika sana, ardhi za umma za karibu jamii zote za taifa la Kenya wamepata shida. Asante sana Bi Speaker, asante sana Mheshimiwa Owen.
Member for Kisauni, Honorable Benzimba Rashid.
Asante sana Madam Speaker kunipa fursa hii ya kuzungumzia swala la National Land Commission. Ni vizuri sana kitengo hichi kwa sababu taifa la Kenya uzito wote ambao au tatizo kubwa ambalo linakumba taifa hili ni hizo ya ardhi yaliyotokea kipindi cha nyuma. Kikubwa ni kwamba ningeomba wapewe nguvu zaidi ili kusudi wawe wanaweza kutatua matatizo, si kusikiza halafu wanayawachia katikati. Kuna ardhi nyingi ambazo wenyewe wako Oman, sehemu za bara la Arabu, wengine wako Ulaya, lakini ardhi zile ziko hapa na watu bado wanaambiwa wanavunjiwa majumba yao. Kwa hivyo Madam Speaker, mimi ningesema hii tume ya ardhi ya kitaifa izidi kupewa nguvu kisheria, ili wakati wanapogundua kwamba hili jambo kweli limefanyika katika dhuluma kihistoria, waweze kuwaganyia wale walioko pale. Pwani nzima ni historia ambazo za kidhuluma ambazo zilitokea, na hata mataifa hata huko juu upande wa bara pia wana shida kama hiyo. Kwa hivyo Madam Speaker, mimi nimesimama hapa pia kupongeza na kuunga mkono tume hii izidi kupewa nguvu na uwezo wa kuweza kutatua matatizo. Kwa hii nimesimama kuunga mkono. Asante sana Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Buri, Honorable Mugambi. The Honorable Member for Kaloleni, Honorable Kahindi Katana.
Asante Bi Speaker kwa kunipatia nafasi niweze kuunga mkono marekebisho ya sheria ya tume ya ardhi. Bi Speaker, swala la ardhi ni swala nyeti ambalo limetoa tumbo joto katika nchi yetu. Pwani imeathirika sana na mambo ya mashamba. Watu wengi wameitwa maskota katika ardhi ambayo wamezaliwa, katika ardhi ambayo wameketi kwa zaidi ya miaka 50. Eneo langu bunge la Kaloleni halijasazwa Bi Speaker. Sehemu za Shangia na sehemu inaitwa Barracks, watu walikuja wakatolewa. Hii ndio njia tume ya ardhi ndio ilikuwa ni tegemeo la Wakenya ambao wamepoteza mashamba yao. Tunataka kuipatia nguvu, kusiwe na muda wa wao kufanya uchunguzi wa dhuluma za mashamba. Iweze kupatiwa muda ili iweze kuchunguza, na inapobainika kwamba watu walidhulumika waweze kuregeshewa ardhi yao. Bi Speaker, ni jambo la kutamausha kwamba siku hizi mabwenyenye ambao wamekuwa wakichukua ardhi za watu wachochole, ine haiangalii yule mtu mdogo, inaangalia wale watu ambao wana uwezo. Bi Speaker, kufikia sasa tangu SGR ianze ile awamu ya kwanza, kuna watu mpaka leo hawajalipwa fidia, na ukiangalia pesa zao ni kidogo. Wale matajiri ambao walikuwa katika ardhi wakiwa watafanya uchunguzi, Bi Speaker, tunataka tume ya ardhi iweze kusajili zile kesi zote, yale maoni yaweze kuzingatiwa na yapelekwe katika mahakama, iwe kama ambaye ni imeshapita mahakama, ambao wako ndani ya tume ya ardhi na wengine wako katika tume, wako katika wizara ambao ndo wanagandamiza na kuwadhulumu wale wananchi wadogo ambao kule mashinani hawawezi kutoa pesa, kutoa hatimiliki zao, kwa kuweza kuchunguza dhuluma za kihistoria ziweze kuswada huu wa kufanya marekebisho wa tume ya ardhi. Asante sana.
Member for Seme.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me authority to the permission, give me the opportunity to contribute to this bill. I start by supporting this bill. Madam Speaker, what this bill seeks to do really is to restore the authority of the Land Commission through the National Land Act of reviewing the grants where there is a concern or where they petition that these grants were not justices that were involved. And therefore, it seeks to remove the 5-year limit that was placed on the commission by the Act. Further, Madam Speaker, it also seeks in subsection 9 of section 4 to remove the need for the Commission to petition. Subsection 3 of section 15, they continue to go on. However, Madam Speaker, I do see that we can probably do an overkill. Because, Madam Speaker, if we now remove the 5-year limitation, it means that the Commission can actually review these grants forever. Anytime it's in place, subsection 9 actually gave the Parliament the power to allow us. It's not really a total aspects of it. We will have a situation where the review of grants on the grounds of historical injustices is actually forever. That is one thing, which is not a bad thing. But then the restrictions that were put on petition on any land at any time without any restrictions at all. And in my view, even what we seek to correct, what we seek to cure, we may actually fail, because we may now give a situation where even after a review has been done, somebody can come many years later and do the review. And in my view, Madam Speaker, the best way around it, and I've discussed this with the Honorable Buyer, is actually, instead of the 5 years, give an extension of 15 years, and then preserve the authority of Parliament to allow petition if the Commission of Land requests. Then it section 3, subsection 3 of 15 part E, so that when somebody is coming now to seek a review of the grants, they actually have to have very good grounds for doing it. Otherwise, it can actually be a free-for-all, and it can actually open a Pandora's box. I support strongly the removal of subsection 11 of 15, which was giving a limitation of 11 years. So what we will have in that situation is that we extend the 15 years, we can go on. Even after the 15 years is over, we can actually resort to subsection 9 through Parliament, which will give us the authority, the National Lands Authority, to actually apply 11, so that that situation now exists in perpetuity. Even after 15 years, you still have subsection 9, where the National Land Commission can go through Parliament. I think that, in my view, Madam Speaker, will be a much safer situation than actually just removing everything. And I think land is so emotive that even many, many years later, people will come, and now there is no restriction. You don't need to petition anybody. You don't need to give reasons. You just ask the Land Commission to review the grants. So with that, Madam Speaker, I support with those concerns, and will probably bring amendments to the floor that can actualize the position that I'm proposing. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Marakwet West. Honourable Toretich.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very important piece of legislation. Honourable Speaker, from the onset, I wish to thank the Honourable Member, Owen Bayer, for proposing such a progressive piece of legislation. Honourable Speaker, one of the most fundamental acts of Parliament that was passed by this House is the National Land Commission. Honourable Speaker, this legislation was very important because one of the issues that it seeks to address is the issue of historical land injustice in this country. Honourable Speaker, this is a challenge that as a country we've faced since time immemorial, and we hoped that this commission will be able to address this issue once and for all. Honourable Speaker, it is unfortunate that the drafters of this particular legislation put some sunset clauses that set in serious clawbacks in terms of implementation of this particular legislation. Honourable Speaker, this commission was established under Section 67 of the Constitution, Article 67 of the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, that article provides very clearly under 67(1)(e) that this commission was to initiate, that one could initiate a complaint into present or historical land injustice and recommend appropriate redress. Honorable Speaker, the unfortunate thing is that the sunset clause on 5 years meant that that injustice or that claim could not be processed if it was more than 5 years. Honorable Speaker, the proposed amendment to remove that 5 years clause, Honorable Speaker, means that any individual who has a claim can now raise that issue without the sunset clause of 5 years. Honorable Speaker, where I come from, for example, in my constituency, we've had issues with one of the lands, that is Cheboror land, was and is still under my constituency, which is Marakwet West. Honorable Speaker, we believe strongly that that land belongs to Elgeyo Marakwet County. How the same was transferred and located to Uasin Gishu County, Honorable Speaker, is a historical land injustice that if this issue is opened, if the 5-year term limit is reopened, Honorable Speaker, we as a community will be able to look at it and address it as a historical land injustice. Honorable Speaker, even my and reallocated for those who are moved from that parcel of land have not been paid, have not been compensated. Honorable Speaker, I strongly believe that extending the time for looking into historical land injustices will be able to address that particular issue. Honorable Speaker, the only issue that I would wish, and I will bring an amendment when it comes to the Committee of the Whole House, is that Honorable Owen Baya could have set a timeline that this historical land injustice would be addressed. Honorable Speaker, my proposal is it should not take more than 1 year, because if it takes more than 5 years, then it also turns out to be an injustice. If that matter is not, the time of addressing that issue is capped at a certain time limit. Honorable Speaker, I also support the amendment under 15.3 that, there is a provision of 15.11 of deleting 15.11, which provides very clearly that that section is capped at 11 years. Honorable Speaker, it was unfortunate that when this law was put in place, that section 15 would lapse after 11 years. Section 15 addressed the issue of historical land injustices. So, Honorable Speaker, if we remove that section, if we repeal that, it could be reviewed at any period of time without. It is also important that as we look at this provision, we look at the issue of we review other statutes apart from this particular legislation, which has capped time to 5 years, so that historical land injustices would be addressed in a present case, in an historical case, so that time limit would not affect the issue of reviewing an historical injustice. Honorable Speaker, I wish to rest my case there. I support this proposed amendment, and I pray that the members here in the House will support the same. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Amendment 2023, and on the face of it, the bill appears to just be doing minor amendments, while in essence, these amendments have a far-reaching effect on the National Land Commission. We have to extend the power of the Commission to continue reviewing all grants and dispositions of public land, to establish their propriety or legality since Section 14 of the Act has lapsed. Many Kenyans do not know what the National Land Commission does. It is actually supposed to be dealing with the public land. We've actually made it appear like it is the commission that deals with all the land in the country, while this is not the case. The mandate of the commission is on public land, and especially protecting the historically land. To grab means to take land that belongs to the public illegally and without following the due process. What we come up with is today in the country, if you want to put up any public, this is why we came up with the National Land Commission to protect those rights, and where public land is actually taken away, this is the commission that will confirm whether what was done was proper or improper. And what happens is once it makes a declaration that the acquisition was improper, then immediately it starts repossession. National Land Commission cannot perform this function. It is left to the less. It will just be there to watch as greedy and hungry Kenyans go about taking public land to the disadvantage of it has been made, and we should actually support the proposal. Another function of the National Land Commission is to address the issue of historical injustices. We know very well, since the advent of colonialism, we have been crying because of land matters unjustly taken away from us, land rights. So they went about grabbing our land with no compensation whatsoever, and then eventually, in the mid-50s. And even where they did this, it was extremely unfair, especially to the residents of central Kenya, because instead of recognizing the land rights to benefit the Africans, it was a tool to punish those they thought had gotten involved in the Mau Mau freedom fight. So through various mechanisms, including establishment of the Registered Land Act for the first time, it had a title that was indefeasible. It could not be challenged under whatever circumstances. And therefore, the freedom fighters who were up in the mountains fighting for independence found themselves landless. So the law was used, attempts to gain more land through the settlements that were being created, through enactment of other laws which, although they were trying to reduce the sanctity of titles, the sanctity remained paramount and unchallengeable. But it's important to note today that, in fact, if you obtain a title deed in a manner that is improper, then the court has the power to declare that acquisition a nullity. Historical injustices came in when we set into politics, because we had made the settlements in the larger Meru. That time we were actually one district, as they were called, and we had settled all over. Clashes were engineered by politicians on the basis that people from the Raka constituency had settled in areas that were not theirs, the net effect of which was to drive them out of that land. Eventually, because possibly they had the powers, they went ahead to subdivide the lands and acquire titles. And when the people of Tharaka complained about those injustices, they were told the land is already demarcated and titles have been issued to third parties, and those titles are indefeasible. It is for this reason that those people had to go to the National Land Commission to seek redress on the basis that a historical injustice had been committed upon them. There are other injustices which we can also name, and what happens is, whichever way, through the courts or through the National Land Commission, one of the titles has to go. If these are proper titles, then somebody somewhere would have to be compensated because an injustice has occurred. Another contracts of land under one title, they do not cultivate that land, and whom they call trespassers have actually moved in. And some rights, proprietary rights to this land, under the doctrine of adverse possession, and therefore they rightly claim possession. Whichever way the courts decide the case, one party is likely to suffer injustice, and that party possibly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Can you give him the mic? Because I see your name here.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Proceed.
Kunipa fursa. Ni kitengo muhimu sana katika taifa letu, kwa sababu shida kubwa katika taifa ni mambo ya ardhi.
Did you contribute on this motion?
Yes. I contributed.
Yeah, but then why do I have your name here again? No, okay, you can't contribute twice on the same. Can you give the opportunity to Amina Munyazi? Order. The rules are very clear. You can't contribute twice on the same motion.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Na leo ninaposimama hapa nataka nimshukuru ndugu yangu na jirani yangu Mheshimiwa Owen Baya kwa kuweza kuleta mswada kama huu hapa bungeni. Na nisimame hapa Mheshimiwa Spika kuweza kuunga mkono huu mswada wenye ambao uko hapa mbele yetu. Na najua mswada huu mpaka hapa ambapo umefika ni kwa sababu katika watu ambao walioweza kuathirika zaidi Mheshimiwa Spika, basi sisi kuongezewa muda wa utendakazi wao. Mheshimiwa Spika, kama hivi leo ninavyozungumza, niko na furaha ya kuweza kuwatangazia wabunge wenzangu kwamba hata hivi leo nimetoka katika ofisi ya Tume ya Ardhi ili kuweza kufuatilizia yale masuala ya Malindi, uwanja wa ndege wenye ambao kuna watu ambao mpaka dakika hii hawajaweza kulipwa ili kuweza kupanuliwa ule uwanja wa ndege wa Malindi. Katika hii Tume ya Ardhi Mheshimiwa Spika, imekuwa ni mahali ambapo tunakwenda kupeleka vilio vyetu, na hususan upande wa ardhi, title deeds ndani ya Malindi Mheshimiwa Spika bado ni nyingi sana. Inashangaza ya kwamba wale wenye Malindi, wanati wa Malindi, wenye ambao wamezaliwa tangu mababu zao kutoka Malindi, mpaka dakika hii wengi wao Mheshimiwa Spika hawana title deed na hawezi kujivunia mahali ambapo wamezaliwa na mahali ambapo wanapaita nyumbani Mheshimiwa Spika. Ardhi nyingi za Malindi zimeweza kuzuiliwa na mabwenyenye, watu ambao hatuwajui, hatuwatambui na hatujui wamepata vipi ardhi zile ambazo ziko Malindi. Tumeona mara nyingi Mheshimiwa Spika watu wangu wa Malindi wakiweza kuvunjiwa manyumba yao, wakiweza kudhulumika kwa njia moja au nyingine. Kwa hivyo leo hii mimi Mheshimiwa Spika ninaposimama hapa naunga mkono huu mswada kwa sababu najua jambo la kwanza, Tume ya Ardhi imekuwa zile za kule pwani, kuna suluhisho nyingi ambazo zimeweza kutufikia kwa kupitia Tume ya Ardhi hii. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiikata mikono hii Tume ya Ardhi, niko na hofu na wasiwasi ya kwamba kuna zile kesi ambazo ziko pale tayari katika Tume ya Ardhi ambazo mpaka dakika hii hazijaweza kukamilika. Tunapowafunga mikono hii Tume ya Ardhi, wale watu wenye ambao walikuwa tayari hizi kesi zao zimeshaanza, wataenda wapi na watasikilizwa na nani tena? Kwa hivyo mimi mapendekezo yangu patia nguvu hii Tume ya Ardhi, tuweze kuwaongezea muda ili waweze kutatua zile shida za ardhi zenye ambazo tumekuwa nazo.
Emilio Odhiambo, did you contribute on this motion? Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I wish to congratulate Honorable Owen for bringing this bill, and I support, but with proposed amendments. Mr. Speaker, the principal object of the bill is to amend the National Land Commission Act number 5 of 2012 to confer back to the National Land Commission the power to continue reviewing all grants or dispositions of public land to establish their propriety or legality since Section 14 of the Principal Act has since elapsed. Mr. Speaker, I'm able to do the work that it did not complete. However, at the same time, we must go back to the legislative history and find out why there was a limitation. As a person who was involved in the making of the constitution of the country, I can tell you, if you look at the schedule, Mr. Speaker, virtually every law we provided for a timeline. And I sat in the select committee that was developing that law. And the essence was that we know that land is a very emotive issue. And displaced, we have seen old men displaced, we have seen children displaced, and whole communities displaced because of land injustices. You cannot leave it open forever. Mr. Speaker, if you leave for the Land Commission the opportunity to let this matter go on and on without a time frame, then it will become another cash cow, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know that in this country, and I've said it before on the floor of this House, that when you see a task that is never completed, it's because people want to eat out of it. And therefore, it is important, and I'd want to encourage my brother, Honorable Owen Baya, that do not just consider leaving it open, because then it will not be sorted. Every time you will ask about whether the issue of the historical land injustices have been sorted, you will be told we are working on it. And you are working on it because other people have their own interests. Some people will be would be that you actually go by the what was provided in the original bill, or rather in the original act, that you give it a timeline even if it's not 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years, but with a mandate to report back to Parliament and indicate to Parliament what has actually been done. What steps have they covered? How far have they gone? Because otherwise you'll just have this on and on and on. The other challenge that I have is a suggestion to actually remove the criteria, especially we are not in love with the discretion, that they will jail them for life. But there are people who would then use the discretion to let that person go off on probation. And that is why we said as a Parliament on certain issues, you need to guide even the commission that is doing that. It is not taking away their independence. It's basically also empowering them with the tools so that they are not considered as misusing that discretion. So perhaps that is one of the things that you need to reconsider, even if it means you provide other standards, but provide those other standards. God gives us the opportunity to learn and we don't learn. If I remember, and sometimes Parliament is the most amazing. I'm just about to release my book. And I always tell people that the change of guard is one event away. In the last Parliament, you are here, we were the ones making faces at you. Now you are the ones sitting there as, what is your title, Deputy Whip or Deputy Whip? Yet while you are sitting there, you forget that circumstances change. It's just one event away. And sometimes that event is as sad as General Ogola dying in a crash. The family's tears have hardly dried, but somebody else has been sworn and is already doing his work. So in the same manner, amendments that it might create new, I don't want to call them historical because they are no longer historical, current injustices. That there are people who are seeking to grab, let us now put a wider time frame so that we can grab that land. Grab it knowing that people will come for your own children. The same way I'm saying you are sitting there, just a few months ago, you are not sitting there. Why can't God just, so that you don't put our children at, we have had a law that has become like broken telephone. It's the way nowadays I hear people talking all the time about colonialism. We can't do this because we are colonized. By the time we are colonized, yes, but what are we doing about it? Get up and change your lifestyles. We can't blame people all our lives. And I think as a country, we should be tired of hearing the issue of historical land injustices. And that's why we need a time frame, sort out those issues, and let us hear the concerns about Gen Zs who are giving us lectures as their parents. How do you deal with those ones? How do you deal with AI? How do we deal with other issues that are emerging that are faster than us? Instead of now, we are dealing with the historical land. There are things that are here in this house. My left ear is blocked. I don't know if it's because of things like that. For the last 3 days, my ear is having a clawback. It reminds me of recently when we went for a women's forum in Rwanda. And we met this Caucasian woman who is in her mid-30s. And she was introduced to me and Senator Catherine Muma, and she burst out crying. And we didn't know what to do with her. And then we asked her, what's the problem? And she said, I am so frustrated. In the women's agenda, we make steps forward, 10 steps forward, 15 backwards. And I told her, don't be worried. We may appear to be doing so, but there are small gains that we are making. Can we as a country lead by example? Let us be the example in Africa by showing that we can buy. This is a good bill, but reconsider the issues that will keep us in a rut as a country, where others want to now grab because it's our time to eat. I support with amendments.
Washako Dan.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Masuala ya ardhi ni masuala nyeti, ni masuala ambayo Bunge la Kitaifa likipata nafasi kama hii ya kuyajadili, ni muhimu sana tuwe na watu wengi ambao wanaongea masuala haya. Kwanza nimpongeze Mheshimiwa Owen Baya ambaye ameleta mswada huu kubadilisha kipengele cha sheria ya tume ya mashamba section 14 iliyosema kwamba tume ilikuwa na miaka 5 peke yake ya kuangazia dhuluma za kihistoria kuhusiana na mashamba. Mheshimiwa Spika, masuala ya mashamba ni mazito. Kule Pwani wenzangu wamesema, mbunge wa Malindi ameongea na wabunge wengine wamechangia mswada huu wakisema kwamba, na ni vizuri sana mswada huu umeletwa na mbunge wa Pwani, kwa sababu sisi dhuluma za mashamba za kihistoria zimekuwa donda sugu nchini kwetu. Nikikupatia tu mfano mdogo, Mheshimiwa Spika, na hata idara za serikali kama mfano KWS, shirika la wanyamapori kule Taita Taveta lilichukua asilimia. Shirika la magereza Kenya Prisons ilichukua mashamba mengi sana, si Taita Taveta peke yake, lakini najua ndani ya nchi yetu imechukua mashamba makubwa. Ukiangalia sana Mheshimiwa Spika, mashamba yale yaliyochukuliwa na KWS, yaliyochukuliwa na prisons na mashirika mengine yamebaki hata bila kutumika, na wananchi wanakosa sehemu za kufanyia maendeleo. Tunavyojua kwamba shamba ama mashamba ndio kiungo muhimu sana katika uzalishaji wa mapato nchini. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, shida hizi ama kuendelea kupeana fursa kwa tume ya mashamba nchini iendelee kuangazia changamoto ama zilizoletwa na mashamba yaliyochukuliwa kinyume cha sheria na dhulma ambazo zimekuja, hawayafanyi chochote. Na nchi yetu tumekuwa tukitafuta sana ni vipi tutaongeza mapato ya nchi. Yatakana bunge hili kando na kuongeza muda wa kuchunguza mambo haya, bunge hili pia liweze kuangazia sana ile ushuru wa mambo ya mashamba, ile tunaita kizungu idle tax, idle land tax, ili wale walio na mashamba makubwa na hawayafanyii chochote, hawazalishi chakula, hawapatii watu wafanye nayo biashara, basi kutozwe ushuru mkali ili waweze kutumia mashamba yale. Manake wengi wameyashikilia tu, baadaye miaka inayokuja wanauza, wanatengeza pesa nyingi, na pia wanakosa hata kuchangia katika kikapu cha serikali cha mapato. Mheshimiwa Spika, nitaje mashamba matatu ambayo yanatusumbua sana pale kwetu Taita Taveta. Kuna shamba ama niseme kando na kusumbua, wananchi wanalalamika sana, manake mpaka leo hatuna uhakika mashamba yale yalichukuliwa vipi, mashamba yale wale walio nayo wanayafanyia kazi na wananchi wanalalamika. Kuna shamba pale kwangu Undanyi linaitwa Kidai Estate, ambalo lilikuwa ni shamba la makonge miaka iliyopita na limekaa bila kutumika kwa muda mrefu. Shamba lile inasemekana kwamba liliuzwa na ni shamba la ekari 10,000, na shamba lile already Mheshimiwa Spika, shule zimejengwa ndani, kuna shule 2 ndani, kuna watu karibu 6,000 ndani, lakini kila mara wananchi wakiwa pale wana wasiwasi kwamba watafurushwa. Shamba lingine Mheshimiwa Spika, ambalo leo limeleta tumbo joto kule Taita Taveta ni shamba la makonge linaitwa Taita Estate. Ile shamba Mheshimiwa Spika, za kuonyesha kwamba walinunua shamba lile, lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, wananchi bado wanalalama sana kwa sababu ekari 33 kule Mwatate limekuwa likipandwa makonge. Imefika kipindi sasa wenyewe wamekata 1,300 wanataka kuuzia wananchi, lakini wananchi hawaelewi kwa nini shamba lile ambalo kwa kidhati kabisa lilichukuliwa kwa wananchi wa Taita Taveta leo litauziwa vipi watu wale wa Taita Taveta. Lakini niseme kwamba hii shirika la ama tume ya National Lands Commission pia hata tunapoongezea muda Mheshimiwa Spika, lazima pia waajibike, manake kuchanganyikiwa kwingi kwa mambo ya mashamba nchini kumelesababishwa sana na hii tume ya mashamba. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna mara nyingi tukiwaita waje wafafanulie wananchi mambo ya mashamba yale ambayo yalichukuliwa, wananchi wanajua yalichukuliwa, lakini wenyewe wanasema wako na haki miliki. Wenyewe hawa watu wa Lands Commission, Mheshimiwa Spika, wanachelewa, hawataki kuja kukutana na wananchi ili kuwaeleza kinagaubaga ni nini ama haswa msimamo wa sheria ya shamba lile uko wapi. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, tunapoongezea muda wa kuchunguza mambo haya, lazima pia waajibike kwa kazi zao. Kama sasa hapa nimeandika barua kutoka kwa ofisi yangu Mheshimiwa Spika, na watarajia waje kwa wananchi kule Taita Taveta, waje wawaeleze kabisa haswa msimamo wa serikali, msimamo wa tume ile kuhusu shamba la Taita Estate, ili kama ni wananchi wataekeza kununua shamba lile, wawe wana uhakika kwamba wanafanya jambo ambalo liko sawa kisheria, na kama kuna tatizo la umiliki wa shamba lile, basi Lands Commission ije na iseme wanatuchanganya. Mheshimiwa Spika, mwisho Mheshimiwa Spika, ninapomaliza niseme kuna wakati tulipojipatia katiba mpya 2010 tulisema kwamba mashamba muda wa lease ile tulikuwa tunapeana 999 miaka 90 miaka 1000 kupungua moja, Mheshimiwa Spika, ulipunguzwa mpaka miaka 99. Lakini bado kuna mashamba mengi mpaka leo hatuna uhakika, manake wenyewe wanauza na unakuta wanauza na wale ambao wasiofuatilia sheria sana wanakuta wanaipika. Kwa hivyo hii Lands Commission, na mimi ninaunga mkono sana mswada huu kwa sababu hadi leo utakuta hati miliki zilitolewa na Wizara ya Ardhi, Ministry of Lands, na hawa watu wetu hawa tume ya mashamba National Lands Commission wanasema kwamba title zile ama hati miliki zile si za sawa. Sasa katika kuchanganya masuala haya ya ardhi, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni Ministry of Lands ama Wizara ya mashamba ambapo na hii ya Lands Commission lazima wajifunze kufanya kazi pamoja, wasichanganye wananchi, manake kuna titles tuko. Sasa masuala haya lazima Mheshimiwa Spika, katika serikali ya Kenya Kwanza, na Mheshimiwa Owen yuko hapa, ni vizuri wapeane mwelekeo. Kuna titles zimekuwa challenge na Lands Commission, na kuna titles Ministry of Lands wanasema ziko sawa. Haya masuala lazima, for us to solve these issues za lands, za masuala ya shamba, Kenya Kwanza lazima come up with a clear land policy ya kusema kwamba basi titles ambazo zimekuwa kizungu wanasema questionable zipate kurudishwa, na watoe msimamo kamili wa serikali ili wananchi wapate kuelewa masuala haya yataenda vipi. Nikimaliza Mheshimiwa Spika, hivi karibuni kulibomolewa watu nyumba zao kule Voi. Watu wa Msambweni walivunjiwa nyumba zao kwa sababu ya kwamba mwenye ardhi yuko na hati miliki, na wananchi walikuwa wamejulishwa kwamba serikali inafuatilia masuala haya. Hii serikali ambayo ilikuwa inafuatilia masuala haya, ilipofika siku ya kubomoa, wale wanaitwa county commissioners na wakubwa wa polisi walikuja na mabunduki wakabomolea, wakasimamia ubomoaji wa mashamba. Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka nikashifu swala hilo lilipita, lakini niseme kwamba hata hawa commissioners wetu na vyombo vya serikali na Ministry ya Interior, wakati wanapokuja kubomolea watu wakati koti imetoa ruhusa ya kubomoa nyumba za watu, hawana ruhusa ya kuja na mabunduki kutishia wananchi wakati wanataka vitu zao, aidha watoe polepole ama waketi na mwenye shamba wazungumze. Mheshimiwa Spika, masuala haya lazima kama Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ungekuwa unasimama nafasi ya urais ningekupa kura yangu. Sasa Mheshimiwa Spika, kule Msambweni Mheshimiwa Spika, tumepoteza watu, hata watu wamepoteza maisha yao kwa sababu walipobomolewa. Siku ya kubomolewa Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nilikuwa pale. Sasa utakuta wale wanaosimamia ubomoaji ule ni ni wale wa polisi ambao wamekuja na wakubwa wa polisi, ukubwa wa county commissioner, wametuma watu wanasumbuka, wanalalamika, wanapata shida, lakini watu ambao wamepewa nafasi ya kuweka usalama wanaketi pale, wanaruhusu watu wabomolewe. Mheshimiwa Spika, tunataka tukemee visa hivi na vyatakana, na rais, najua William Ruto alisema yeye akiwa mamlakani watu hawatawahi bomolewa nyumba zao. Tunataka kwamba tumkumbushe, na mheshimiwa wewe utakumbusha rais kwamba alisema watu watabomolewa tena, na tunaomba kwamba lile lililotendeka pale Msambweni kule Voi lisiwahi tendeka kwingine, manake watu wa Voi, kuna watu wana wasiwasi saizi kwamba watabomolewa manyumba zao, kwa sababu sasa huo wasiwasi nataka rais aongee, aseme vile alivyosema juzi kwamba hakutakuwa tena na mauaji ya yale ambayo tunaudhi Kenya, hata ubomoaji yatakana rais aseme clearly kwamba hakuta
in this is very important noble bill. I first by thanking Honorable Bai for bringing this bill. This is the right time, and it's also long overdue, since land is very, very important in this country. Honorable Speaker, this bill seeks to enable the Commission to direct the registrar to book title deeds that have been acquired illegally. We know, Honorable Speaker, that some people have unlawfully acquired land and would like, Honorable Speaker, the land to be given to the right people. Honorable Speaker, this bill will help to ensure those who acquired through unlawful ways shall not get away with a piece of land. And also, Honorable Speaker, justice shall be served according to the law. We know, Honorable Speaker, that some people invaded some areas and ran away with the land. This bill, Honorable Speaker, will direct the registrar to revoke the title deeds that were acquired unlawfully. Hence, Honorable Speaker, the families or those people who are aggrieved will get their land which they are supposed to have. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, the bill seeks also will investigate, will give the Commission an opportunity to investigate all historical land injustice and complaints. And we are convinced that there is a lot of land injustice. Honorable Speaker, the bill seeks also to enable the Commission to investigate historical and injustice complaints and recommend appropriate redress of the injustices that have been done. Honorable Speaker, this will ensure the families who are aggrieved, who have suffered, who have stayed without their land from the historical land injustice, will possess their land from generation to generation. Finally, yet justice will be served. Honorable Speaker, the documents at that particular time, the issue will be revisited and they will be able to get their land back because the document will be traced and the land will be reassessed. So, Honorable Speaker, this is very important. We know quite a number of people are losing land because of lack of documents. However, Mr. Speaker, we would like to emphasize that the titles that are owned must be well investigated so that people don't lose their genuine land. Title is not just a paper, and we fear that influential people may state that the title deeds are not necessary documents. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I seek to support this bill as it does not add any additional expenditure of the fabric funds. It's crucial at this time. We are in the process of economic recovery of our nation. There is no expenses. We look, or the commission looks at various documents critically. Mr. Speaker, I support this bill. Thank you.
Gikaria, where is the Honorable Gikaria?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this very opportunity to be able to comment.
Followed by Honorable Sioi. Okay, proceed.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, as I look at the memoranda of objects and reasons, and I want to take this opportunity also to thank my brother and my leader, Owen Baya, for bringing this very important legislation that cuts across the whole country, particularly on matters to do with land. Honorable Speaker, us who come from Rift Valley, we have had this problem throughout since independence. And Honorable Speaker, the National Land Commission, a commission that was created in the new constitution for it to be able to address public land matters. Honorable Speaker, we thought it was going to bring a lot of changes. But Honorable Speaker, as it has been said by speakers who have taken the floor before me, Honorable Speaker, we also need to take caution on the members of this commission. Honorable Speaker, again, as Honorable Millie had indicated there earlier, that again, if we just leave this commission to have a blanket check for them to be able to work without any restrictions on matters to do with time limits, Honorable Speaker, it is important that we note that the commissioners, they have a duty, a constitutional responsibility for them to be able to address without favoring of any side. Honorable Speaker, I come from a county where a commission sits on a Monday, make a decision, and the same commission since 2 months after make a completely different decision from the decision that they had made earlier. Then you wonder then what would have informed them to come with two very distinct decisions regarding a matter on land, on the same parcel of land. So again, I would want to say, as the law has given them that responsibility, it is good for them to be objective and to be fair. Honorable Speaker, as Parliament, we must also be asking ourselves, sometimes do we legislate on an unconstitutional issue and we just let it pass without looking critically? And this is a place where, Honorable Speaker, looking at the Constitution, under Article 67, the National Land Commission, Honorable Speaker, Article 67, subsection, that is subsection, sorry, Honorable Speaker, 2E, and it reads, Honorable Speaker, to initiate investigation on its own initiative or on a complaint into present or historical land injustices and recommend appropriate redress. Then the question is very open, that they can be able to initiate on their own or through a complaint that has been brought before them, that they can be able to. So it doesn't matter. And it talks about present or historical. Now the other question that again we need to ask ourselves, Honorable Speaker, what is historical? Historical, is it, how many years becomes historical? Maybe 40 years down the line, do we treat that as historical or is it a present issue? So, Honorable Speaker, again, it is important for us to be able to be addressing issues that are constitutional without allowing us also as Parliament where we are supposed to make legislation to make sometimes unconstitutional legislation. Honorable Speaker, my wish would be, as indicated under Article 67(2) subsection E, that we don't have time limits. We allow the National Land Commission to be able to do its work. But unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, I was in when we were in Nakuru, just immediately after the new constitution, there has been so many cases which have arisen in Nakuru County, Honorable Speaker. And again, as my brother from Matuga constituency had indicated there earlier, you find that sometimes you don't know which one to follow, whether to follow the Ministry of Land through the Commission of Land, who issue title deeds to respective individuals with the same, again, when the National Land Commission says those land titles are fake. So, or they're just papers, and it is unfortunate, Honorable Speaker, that every time when we have such kind of disputes and long litigation that goes over 40 years, Honorable Speaker, if you go to Naivasha, for instance, Honorable Speaker, there is a huge, there is a case that has been dragging in court for the last, 30 years. And there's never been any decision coming from the court. Honorable Speaker, it is important for the National Land Commission to take its role, act as they should be, for them to be able to address so that we can stop these litigations that continue in the Environment and Lands Court forever. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support the amendment, but at the same time taking caution that we should never put time limits whatsoever on constitutional issues as the National Land Commission has been indicated. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance to support the motion, the amendments brought forward by Honorable Baya. And Mr. Speaker, I support this motion because, this bill, I support it because this is one thing that has affected our country at large. I want to give a good example of my county, Trans Nzoia County, Mr. Speaker, whereby there is a land belonging to prisons that was allocated to some individuals in Trans Nzoia, and these people have suffered. And I feel if we put the time limits to the National Land Commission, we'll be doing injustice to a number of people in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. I want to say we should remove the time limit and give them time and even powers to execute their duties as they have been mandated, so that we can deal with the land injustices that we have in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, people have suffered, and it takes a number of years before their cases have been heard of. I don't know if this is indicated here, but how I feel, the National Land Commission could be given powers to fast track the reviews they are doing for those people that have been affected, because people are being demolished for properties that they spend a lot of money to construct. These people have been allocated those kind of land and have been in those land and that is the reason as to why I want to support this, that the National Land Commission be given mandate to manage public land and help the members so that they can get justice wherever they have been done for injustices, Mr. Speaker. I also want to support this because I realized that people have been given original title deeds, which they acquired from Ministry of Lands. The land registrars have put their signatures on those title deeds. Then later you are being told that that title deed is not original. It is a fake title deed. Now you wonder how you acquired a fake title deed that bears the signature of a land registrar, and the land registrars are still in the office. Nobody is talking about them. Nobody is questioning them. and no one has been prosecuted for having put their signatures in the same title deeds that we are saying they are not genuine. Mr. Speaker, I stand to support this, and I want to congratulate Honorable Baya for bringing forward these amendments, and I support it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Faisal, MP from Msambweni.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia hii nafasi ili na mimi niweze kuongeza sauti yangu juu ya huu mswada ulioletwa na Mheshimiwa Owen Baya. Vile vile niweze kumpongeza Mheshimiwa Owen Baya kwa kuzingatia mswada huu na kuuleta hapa ili tume ya ardhi iweze kuongezwa muda ili waweze kufanya kazi yao ile waliopatiwa na katiba yetu ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, niseme swala la ardhi ni swala muhimu sana na ni swala nyeti. Na tume hii ya ardhi iliundwa kuangazia mambo mengi. Mojawapo ya yale mambo ni kuangalia dhulma za kihistoria. Na nikisema dhulma za kihistoria, sisi kama wapwani tumedhulumiwa sana kuhusu masuala ya ardhi yetu. Mimi nikizungumza hapa nawakilisha eneo bunge la Msambweni, kijiji nilichozaliwa. Mpaka leo sisi ni maskwata, na uskwata ule umesababishwa na dhulma, kwa sababu ardhi yote zaidi ya ekari 4,000 inashikiliwa na mabwenyenye wawili peke yake. Sisi wananchi wa pale zaidi ya familia 5,000 tunakaa katika ekari 13 peke yake. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, huu mswada huu utaweza kupeana nguvu kwa tume ya ardhi ili waweze kuendelea kupokea malalamishi na kuweza kutatua haya malalamishi ili Wakenya na wapwani waweze kumiliki ardhi zao. Na niseme Mheshimiwa Spika, tuko na matatizo mengi ya ardhi, mpaka sasa hatuwezi kufanya matunda. Kuna changamoto nyingi sana ambaye mpaka sasa hatuwezi kuweka mradi wowote wa kimaendeleo katika wodi hii. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nataka niombe wajumbe wenzangu katika nyumba hii tuweze kuunga mkono mswada huu ili uweze kupitishwa na Wakenya waweze kupata hati miliki na waweze kumiliki ardhi zao kihalali. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise on standing order number 95. Looking at the mood of the House is that there is repetition as to the contribution that has been being made in this House. And the feeling is that maybe we should move forward because we have some other urgent matters that also need some attention. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, under the circumstances, I now put the question. That the mover be called upon to reply. As many of the opinion say aye. Aye. As many of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Proceed, mover, and reply.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the members that have contributed to this very important bill that aims at giving the power to the National Lands Commission to review historical land injustices and also to review grants, power which is granted in the Constitution but was taken away by a legislation. Honorable Speaker, this is important that the National Lands Commission goes back to look at these issues and solve the land problems that are there in this country. Honorable Speaker, I have had many members that have requested that we do 1 or 2 amendments. I am happy to engage those members plus the committee so that as we move to the 3rd reading, Honorable Speaker, or to the committee of the whole, we are able to make amendments that will help this country move forward. But what is important, Honorable Speaker, that the National Lands Commission gets power to review grants and also to look at historical land injustices, so that all these problems that led to the Njonjo Commission, that led to the Nungu Commission, all these things that had many commissions appointed can be sorted out. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you. I want to thank members for contributing to this very important bill, and I look forward to third reading, Honorable Speaker. I thank you, and Honorable Speaker, I reply.
Honorable members, I defer putting the question on this particular bill to a later date. Next. Yes, Majority Leader, what's your issue?
Honorable Speaker, I wanted to seek your indulgence. Honorable Speaker, I know members are really interested in that particular business that we just concluded. And there is the next order, the Niamey report, and the chair of the committee seems to have left. I wanted to seek your indulgence to reorder business so that we start with the IEBC amendment bill ahead of the committee report on foreign relations and defense.
I thought I saw the chairman of defense, and I also saw the deputy chair. And then you, honorable member, you are in the defense committee, and you're the deputy chair. I thought you and the chair wanted this matter to be disposed of today.
Majority Leader, I give way. Thank you.
Yes, what's your point of order, the Honorable Mashako?
Point of order, on standing order number 35, and I raise that there is no quorum in the House.
Proceed and Sergeant at Arms, is it true that we do not have a quorum? I think I'll make a casual order, Honorable Bayer. Order, honorable members. The honorable member has exercised the provisions of the standing order, and I'm convinced there's no quorum, so ring the quorum bell. Ring the quorum bell, and it's only
Well, Honorable Farama Alim, who sits in the Speaker's panel and currently the Speaker, as the sitting continues, has directed that a quorum bell be rung for the members who may be within the precincts of Parliament to be able to make their way to the chambers. This is pursuant to the House Standing Order number 35 on the quorum of the House at the commencement of House business. And the bell will be on for the members to be able to make their way to the chambers. A quick look at this particular standing order on the quorum during the proceeding of the House. A member alert the Speaker that the House does not have the required quorum, and the Speaker ordered that the bell be rung. So in this case, if a member objects that there is not a quorum present, the Speaker or the chairperson shall count the members in the House or the committee, as the case may be. If on count a quorum does not appear to be present, the Speaker shall cause the division bell to be rung as on division, or if no quorum is present, at the expiration of 10 minutes. If the Speaker is in the chair, the Speaker shall adjourn the House until the next sitting without question put. But as you can see, as the quorum bell is underway, those are members walking into the chambers. And in no time, we believe, Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 43 of 2023. This is by the Honorable Member for Kilifi North, Owen Bayer. And the members debated this bill. The next business was on a motion on the ratification of the African Union Convention on cross-border cooperation. This is by the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations. And in this case, the majority leader had informed the Speaker, that is Speaker at the moment, Honorable Faram Alim, that the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Defense and Intelligence and Foreign Relations and a paper to consider Order Number 12, that is the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill originating from the National Assembly. This is Bill number 10 of 2024. That is the Sergeant at Arms who is keeping tabs on the numbers of the members in the chambers. 50 members are needed in the chambers. Once the number is achieved, the Sergeant at Arms, of course, will alert the clerk and the Speaker, and the House will be called to order. As you can see, those are members walking in, and in no time that number will be achieved. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2024. This is by the leader of the majority party at the National Assembly, as well as the leader of the minority party at the National Assembly. This bill is at its second reading stage, and it is a bill that seeks to give effect to some of the recommendations and views of the public that were submitted during the National Dialogue Discourse on the issues of electoral justice and related matters, outstanding constitutional matters, fidelity to political parties or coalitions, and the law on multi-party democracy, entrenchment of the National Government Constituency Development Fund, the Senate Oversight Fund, and the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, and the establishment and entrenchment of state officers. This bill seeks to amend the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Act number 9 of 2011 to clean up the act by deleting obsolete provisions. This bill further seeks to make some consequential amendments intended to align the act to the judgment of the High Court in Katiba Institute and 3 others versus Attorney General and 2 others, wherein the High Court held that certain provisions of the act were unconstitutional. The bill also seeks to amend Section 6 of the Act and include experience in accounting or information and communication technology as additional professional qualifications for appointment as a member of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. This bill further seeks to amend the first schedule to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, number 9 of 2011, to increase the number of members of the selection panel from 7 to 9 in order to accommodate a wide spectrum of stakeholders and interest groups. So, 6 to, well, that is an indication by the Sergeant at Arms that the quorum has been achieved. Members are still working in, and allow me to hand you over for the continuation of the National Assembly proceedings this afternoon.
Huh? No, we don't. We don't. Order, honorable members. I think we have quorum now. We can proceed with the business of the House. I have order, honorable members. Honorable members, I have a request from the majority leader to reorder the business of the House today. We were supposed to move on to order number 11, which is the ratification of the African Union Convention on Cross-Border Cooperation. And the leader of the majority is of the opinion that we should push that one to another time and bring forward order number 12, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2024. And I have assented to that. Standing order number 42.2 allows the Speaker to rearrange the order of the business of the House. And I've so ordered. So Majority Leader, could you move order number 12, which is IBC bill?
Order number 12, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2024, second reading.
Thank you for acceding to the request to reorder business. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2024, be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, this bill, honorable members, you remember, is one of the consequential amendments or some of the statutory instruments that emanated from the NADCO report. And honorable Speaker, as we did commit between ourselves and the leader of minority that would hasten to make sure that all the statutory instruments that relates to the NADCO process are allocated time by the House Business Committee, and the House Business Committee did agree to prioritize consideration of this IEBC amendment bill. Honorable Speaker, the bill therefore seeks to implement some of the recommendations of the National Dialogue Committee relating to electoral justice and related matters, and in particular on the issue of restructuring and reconstitution of the IEBC. Honorable Speaker, members are aware, and indeed the countries are aware, that we have operated for the last few months or almost a year without a commission in place, and this has left our nation in a very precarious situation and in a constitutional crisis that was never anticipated under any circumstances by the drafters of our Constitution. Honorable Speaker, we are also aware that there was a panel that had been established under the old Act, or rather the subsisting Act today, that sought to replace the entire commission whose vacancies fell vacant following that we are in a very unique situation, a situation where we don't have a single commissioner in office. And you know, the Constitution recognizes IEBC not in terms of the Secretariat, but the Commission. And therefore, without the Commission, we cannot carry on with the business of boundaries delimitation, which is a matter that is very sensitive to the country. We cannot carry on with by-elections, and Honorable Speaker, you're aware that the people of Banisa have been waiting for by-elections. There are a number of wards where we've lost MCAs, some through death, Honorable Speaker, unfortunately, and therefore those constituents of those particular wards are also waiting for their by-elections. And we've not been able to conduct these by-elections as a country because we do not have a commission in place. Therefore, this amendment bill, Honorable Speaker, opens the way or the avenue to establish or to recruit new commissioners. Honorable Speaker, the issue of reconstitution of IEBC is therefore a matter of national importance. And as you are aware, the deadline for the review of the boundaries also came and passed without a commission in place. And as I mentioned, the issue of by-elections that are still pending, indeed, the courts have pronounced themselves on the question of whether or not elections should be held. and directed that the panel that existed complete its work and have a commission in place. However, Honorable Speaker, recognizing through the NADCO process that the reconstitution or the constitution of an electoral commission is both a legal and a political process. And therefore, we sought to agree within the NADCO committee on how best we can reconstitute the panel that will recruit new commissioners in a way that we generate the confidence of the majority of Kenyans. You may not satisfy everybody, Honorable Speaker, in such a process, IEBC commissioners. And therefore, we sought to expand the panel that will be recruiting those commissioners. And this is what this new bill seeks to do with the amendments. The proposed amendments to this act, Honorable Speaker, sought to increase the number of members of the selection panel from 7 members to 9 members. The current panel has 7, as was the case under the current act, but we are now seeking to amend that to expand it to 9 members, as I say, to have a broader representation of different interests, both those in the religious circles, professionals, the political class to be more represented in this recruitment panel. And therefore, the new proposed composition of the selection panel will be as follows. There will be 2 persons nominated by the Parliament Service Commission, representing, now explicitly stated from the previous provision of the act that we are seeking to amend, because it was never explicit that that would represent both the majority and minority parties. Now it is explicit that the majority and minority parties must be represented by the 2 persons who will be nominated by the Parliament Service Commission. 2, there will be 3 persons nominated by the Political Parties Liaison Committee, of whom 1 shall be from a party other than a parliamentary party or coalition of parties. Because we recognize within NADCO that there are many political parties that are not represented in Parliament, and therefore they are stakeholders in the electoral process, and therefore they need to have their interests well represented, and that's why they have 1 nominee. In case in point, Honorable Speaker, are even the parties that are today sitting in this House. In the last Parliament, Honorable Speaker, when a panel was done, that panel largely represented 2 political parties, Jubilee and ODM. Never had an opportunity. But that did not stop UDA from moving on to win the elections under the commission that was established by ODM and Jubilee. And you know, ODM and Jubilee at that time, Honorable Speaker, were in the process of forming the Azimio coalition at that time. But this time, recognizing that fact that even newly formed political parties can move on and become big political parties. Today, UDA is the largest political party in the country, but was never represented. Now, if any honorable member here forms a political party in 2026, or those political parties that are not represented in the House today or in the Senate, and don't even have a single elected member, even in county assemblies, will have an opportunity to be represented in the selection panel that will midwife the process of recruiting commissioners. We'll also have 1 person who shall be from a parliamentary party or coalition of parties forming the national government, that is a majority, and 1 shall be from a political party or coalition of parties not forming the national government, that is from the minority side. 3 will be 1 person nominated by the Law Society of Kenya, as the case was in the old act or in the act that we seek to amend. And 4 will be 1 person nominated by the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya. This is a new provision recognizing, as I say, the role of professionals. And I think in the wisdom of the NADCO committee, they did appreciate that elections and election results tallying have a lot to do with both technology and the tallying basically is a summation of numbers. And who better to represent interests of people who can tally numbers other than the Institute of Certified Public Accountants, just like lawyers are represented by LSK. Lastly, will be 2 persons nominated by the Interreligious Council of Kenya. And Honorable Speaker, this again is, as the case was before, where the Interreligious Council of Kenya had 2 members being nominated to this panel. Further, Honorable Speaker, the bill proposes amendments to the IBC Act to provide that the selection panel shall finalize the recruitment exercise within 90 days of its appointment and forward the names of the nominees to the President, and shall therefore thereafter stand dissolved. Given the urgency of this matter, the prescribed timeline is geared towards ensuring that the selection panel process is concluded within time. Honorable Speaker, the old act, or the act that we are seeking to amend, did not provide for a timeline. And you see Kenyans, especially those from Banisa constituency, had to go to court to instigate a closure of it, or nothing in law tells the panel that you must recruit commissioners within a certain period. We are now seeking to amend the law to ensure that it no longer remains an open-ended process. It is a process that is time-bound. Therefore, once the panel is constituted, once this bill becomes an act of parliament, then within 90 days, the panel must recruit commissioners, and those commissioners take office and begin the work either of conducting by-elections or preparing for the next general elections in 2027, and also the process, the very important process of boundaries delimitation ahead of time. Because again, Honorable Speaker, to have boundaries being delimited very close to a general election, or even having very many electoral reforms and changes in our electoral processes very close to the elections. And therefore, this particular provision will seek to address that particular. Immediately at the commencement date of the Act shall cease to exist, but a person who served as a member of that selection panel may be nominated to serve as a member of a selection panel appointed under the new Act. In this regard, Honorable Speaker, any of the existing panel members may still be nominated in the new selection panel once the bill is enacted into law. Honorable Speaker, we also appreciated that the panel has applied for the jobs, and there's already work that had been done that is yet to be concluded. And therefore, we sought also, as a matter of creating some transitional mechanism, to allow the nominating bodies, for instance, the Parliamentary Service Commission, LSK, the Interreligious Council, those that already had representation in the selection panel, should they wish to renominate the same people that they are nominated to the panel, then there is nothing within this law that stops them from renominating or reappointing the same people. And those names will eventually come before the House for the House to agree with the nominating bodies or to disagree with them. Honorable Speaker, the bill further proposed amendments to Section 6 of the IEBC Act to include experience in information and communication technology and accounting as professional qualifications commissioner. As I mentioned, Honorable Speaker, we have seen commissioners in the past who may not have all the requisite skills and knowledge on matters ICT. Our electoral process is largely technology-driven, and therefore we found it necessary to have commissioners who will be nominated who have requisite knowledge in matters, information communication technology, and also in accounting. And I must take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to state that I am an accountant, although that had nothing to do with the recommendations of the committee, where the Honorable Pio and I also sat in as a budding young lawyer, and although they are well represented. I know the chairman of the commission is a requirement that he be a lawyer, and therefore there was that back and forth in NADCO, and many people who presented before NADCO argued for the case to have the requisite skills in ICT, accounting, so that we need not to be fighting about numbers. Tallies. Tallying is a summation of numbers. 1 + 1 is 2, it can never be 3. And therefore we need accountants to ascertain that 1 + 1 is always 2, not 3. Because lawyers can argue that 1 + 1 is not necessarily 2, it could be 3. And they will find a clever way of arguing that 1 + 1 is 3. But accountants are factual, and therefore, I'm not just speaking for accountants, even ICT experts, because the transmission of election results, you know, is one of the issues that has been a very sticky issue during transmission of election results. We want that comfort in future elections. DF is something that you can hijack somewhere in between the transmission area from your constituency or your sub-county headquarters to Bomas of Kenya. We want commissioners who understand what a PDF document is, what a JPEG document is, and how possible, how easy is it to manipulate those particular documents, whether when people demand servers to be opened. We need commissioners who understand what these servers are. And that is why in the wisdom of the NADCO committee, we found it necessary to have that particular amendment. Honorable Speaker, I don't want to belabor everything because we want to allow members to contribute well ahead of time, but let me ask all of us to support this as among the NADCO statutory instruments that we adopted in this House, were also adopted in the Senate, and we have committed, as I said, between ourselves and the